I feel so privileged to have been alive in the 60s, especially when the fifth dimension started singing songs about the age of Aquarius, which, by the way, is titled Let the Sunshine In. And this week starts with the moon in Aquarius, giving us that great humanitarian vibe of equality of all people in a global village. Hi, I'm Judith Royal. I'm an archetypal astrologer, and I'm going to be reading the stars for you in what I think is a language of light. It's a universal language, even if you just think of it as the same stars, the same moon is shining on everyone worldwide and in equal measure. Monday, November 4th, we have that crisis turning point with a waxing crescent moon, as I said, in the sign of Aquarius air. And Aquarius vibes always resonate more with groups rather than individuals. So that you want to weed the garden of your mind at this crisis point in a way that brings your goals in alignment with being of service to others, if not to all of mankind. And so I have a question I think you should ask yourself at this turning point, and that is, of the things that you want to accomplish, the goals you've put before you right now, ask yourself if they are truly unique to who you are. And secondly, are they very innovative? Have you let yourself go out of the box in some way to bring something truly inventive to the table? This week is a wonderful opportunity for that because also on Monday, we're going to have some lovely harmony from Warrior Mars, who's also in an air sign, in this case Libra. So we all get to take a deep breath of life, especially if you have your moon or sun sign in Aquarius, Libra, or Gemini. You are really primed to spread your wings and fly. Because let's face it, even the most beautiful monarch butterfly with the biggest wings of all still needs the air in order to take flight. And you can this week. So on Monday, looking at that crescent moon, let me just give you some photo op information, as well as to give you the times that this energy of the crescent moon is going to peak. So remember, we're now in standard time. And so on Monday evening at around 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, you can get a good view of this, the earth shine actually, on this waxing crescent moon. You know how you look at that crescent moon and you still can see a dim light outlining the rest of the moon? Well, that's there because of Earthshine. We are from Earth reflecting the light of the sun to the moon. This is just light, light everywhere, isn't it? All a beautiful reflection of our Creator. So you'll be looking for this right before sunset. Again, that's the 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now the moon will have already risen and have already peaked in the crescent square for the crisis point earlier in the afternoon. And together then, we can think about the pruning in that garden of our mind of the beliefs and thoughts that are really tried and true. They're just kind of old and worn out, and especially if they have their roots in the patriarchy. And we will line up with that, some of those lyrics from the Age of Aquarius song that are so prophetic because it says love will steer the stars. That concept of universal love for all mankind is so strong with us now. bringing that harmony and understanding. But also there is this interesting line in the song that says, sympathy and trust abounding, no more falsehoods, no more derisions. And that is so much the call that we're feeling right now with the help of all that far-seeing Capricorn energy. And we can take it as absolute proof that the universe is really lining up in our best interests, because also this week on Saturday, November the 9th, I think I mentioned it last time, but this is the 30-year anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. And that just punctuates this Aquarian energy with the kind of emphasis that is for all of us a homecoming. Because at the time the Berlin Wall fell, that chart cast for that day, the astrology chart, every single planet, every celestial light was in an aspect of symmetry. Every one. There were even triple harmonies and great inspiration and gift giving from generous Jupiter, who is at that time in the sign of home, sweet home, Cancer. So we are, it's one of my favorite lines from the Course in Miracles that says, we are coming home together after a long and meaningless journey that we undertook apart. In other words, we have found our brothers and sisters, and we are taking hold of each other's hands, because together we can take our place so long left unfulfilled in the homecoming of all mankind. And that's what happened that day when the Berlin Wall came down. There was no plan for that to happen. Nobody had organized it. There was no announcement. In fact, it was the opposite. It was quite literally a spontaneous inspiration. And that also is all it will take for us now to change the world. Thing is, we can't hear the language of light with our body's ears, of course, but we are sensing the resonance of that in all things around us here on earth, especially the things right before you now on your path as sort of sparkling synchronicities and serendipitous experiences that are the lights sort of dropped on your path by the angels so that you do not lose your way. And we all have one unique function in the homecoming, and a benevolent and friendly helping hand is coming to us, especially next week, because Jupiter will align with Mars to bring us the opportunity for just fortunate action. So let's break it down a little more for the week ahead. We have now a sort of a nice distribution of all of the four elements. We have Venus and Jupiter together. What a wonderful, prosperous combination. And they are both in the fire sign of Sagittarius. They're going to be traveling together in that until November 25th. And the moon is going to trigger that wonderful aspect of abundance on this Tuesday, November the 5th. It's a minor election day in the United States, but it's going to be raising to our awareness some difficulties, perhaps in the whole voting system, because we have a challenge, really one of the most unpleasant challenges, I think, which is between warrior Mars and powerful Pluto. Now, this is an internal stress that basically is two powers within you that are struggling for dominance, and neither one wants to give away power or compromise. So this is usually an aspect of conflict. And on top of that, we have confusion from that retrograde Mercury we have, who is going to be in a square, an internal tension also with the moon on Tuesday. And to me, that always feels like I can't, I can't quite trust my intuition. That's not true, but there may be incidents or events that would kind of at least shake your confidence in your own gut reactions. But just hang on, because Wednesday, the moon is in compassionate and empathic Pisces waters. That's the ocean waters. And we're going to have not just a lovely daydream, but we are definitely going to have a spiritual transcendence of some sort that is going to show us in hindsight what that difficult Tuesday was all about. And I always look for the archetypal energy of this, that is, that big overarching vibration that we're all experiencing, and that is mirrored on the world stage, news events, etc. So we are in the second phase of the lunar cycle that began on October 27th with the new moon in Scorpio waters. Those are deep and intense waters. Remember, that's where our private eye is. That's where we are wonderful detectives, going for the bottom line truth and settling for nothing less. At this time, actually, we can become quite obsessive about that, acting compulsively, because we feel this power surge of determination to solve these big problems that are before us on the world stage, where so many rebels, so many protesters are literally in the streets and in the headlines, therefore. And I see an energy in it where, people will just not back down. And I want you, along with me, I'm really being diligent about this, to tap into all that wonderful Capricorn energy that is gathering in the big cluster, bringing us that new 500-year cycle. And what does it mean to tap into the Capricorn energy? It means we step back from emotions. We step back in objectivity, like that wonderful mountain goat who's climbed to the top of K2. And there we are far seeing. So we have the objective long-term vision that we want to guide our actions and our thoughts, because we don't want to be reactionary, especially when there are these incendiary issues, comments, actions in the world. Sort of likewise, we can ask this question, since we're in the Scorpio lunar cycle. The question would be, what happens if you throw a rock onto the calm surface of Scorpio's deep lake? You see that you have created ripples that are in concentric waves, extending actually beyond your sight, with the body's eyes, that is, and even waves that are traveling on through time, extending into parts unknown to you. And so it's also the call to have faith, right? That your actions, the ones that you take objectively, in other words, we think before we act, that those you can trust will have a beneficial outcome. even if you can't see what it is. And in fact, try not to think about that part. Rather, let's think about the predictable and timeless orbiting of the planets and our satellite moon, who dances with us, repeating her phases over and over again in 4 quarterly phases. It just really stills me. These are like hints or whispers of eternity, suggesting that I am more than a body. And of course, so are you. In fact, we are great rays of light among billions of rays of light, all emanating from the same one source. And the metaphor of all of the light bouncing around, moonshine and earthshine, in continuous loops, that extending the light and receiving and absorbing the light are actually one endless loop. You can feel it strongly in the sweet daydreams and inspiration of Wednesday, and into Thursday, the moon still in Pisces waters, bringing the trust in your intuition back to you very strongly. And it ignites in an Aries fiery moon on Friday and Saturday, especially Friday. You can look for really clairvoyance, because the sun is going to be in a lovely trine with Neptune. And on the same day, that's Friday the 8th, we also have the lover's most beautiful aspect, and that is the Aries moon will trine Venus in fiery Sagittarius. That's love's adventure. So don't stay home Friday night. At least don't be alone, because it's a great opportunity for expressing your love to someone in a relationship. That same fiery Aries moon is going to bring you a Sunday full of, it's very lucky. It can be some lazy indulgence, and actually Sunday's okay for that, right? Or you can take it as this feeling of being like the luckiest person on earth, feeling that way, thinking those thoughts, which is, of course, what creates it to begin with. And then later on Sunday evening, as you settle in at home, the moon will be in Taurus and will run into the god of lightning just before midnight Pacific Standard Time, but it will set the mood and the tone for Monday the 11th, Veterans Day in the U.S., but a Monday that starts your week on a foot of surprises, actually welcomed surprises, that are going to help you know the truth that everything really is getting better, that everything is happening in our best interests, even if we can't see it in the moment. And it is taking us into next week's full moon in Taurus, which is quite literally not just the Rock of Gibraltar stability. It is also bringing us abundance. And further on the road ahead, we have such fabulous things, because after Mercury turns direct on November 20th, we're going to run into a series of generous, spirited warm-ups for what is going to be the overflowing cornucopia of kindness and goodness this Thanksgiving, November 28th. And it reminds me of Annie Lamott saying that really all prayers come down to 2 things: help me and thank you. So thank you for listening. I'm Judith Royal. You can always reach me if you'd like to have an individual reading at judith@judithroyal.com. That's my email. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.